Well, let's be clear. There is a hierarchy in our home,
Yeah.
and I'm on the bottom.
No.
No. I put myself there. That's where I want to be because I want to be taking the bullets. I want to be taking the shots. I want to be standing in front. I mean, that's why I'm here. And that's what I love.
Welcome to the nextTalk podcast. We are a nonprofit passionate about keeping kids safe online. We're learning together how to navigate tech, culture, and faith with our kids. Today, I have my husband on the show. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I feel like I'm a big guy in a little chair.
And you have
barely fit in these things. They're awful.
Okay, remind me. You have not done the podcast with me since we've been videoing.
Definitely not since we've had these chairs.
So this is a whole new thing.
It's awful. These chairs are awful.
You're taking one for the team today.
Taking one for the team.
Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know you, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Matthew.
Well, fortunate husband of you.
Good.
Two kids, feeling older every day. Just love to be a part of what we're doing.
And your career, you're a business guy. Just a lot of people ask me if my husband's in ministry. You're not in ministry.
No.
So a business guy.
Yeah. Just operations guy, and nothing to do. Unfortunately, nothing to do day to day with the nextTalk activity. Not for an occupation.
But you hear all my stories.
At least 2 or 3 times.
Yes, he does. Okay, so the reason I've asked Matt to join me today is because last year I wrote a story about he and our son, and something crazy happened. It went viral.
What was the I like this one because what did you title it?
On the reel? What did I say?
Yeah, I actually like this one.
The words on the video said this: the moment I realized my husband knew better.
Yeah, I was really surprised. You told me that you had posted something interesting, and I went and looked at it, and it was pretty interesting. And I guess about 16 million other people thought so.
Yeah, I mean, we had over 250,000 likes, hundreds of comments, shares. It went viral, and we've never had anything like that happen before.
I don't know, a social media person. That's a lot.
Yeah, Matt. It is
good. Okay.
And
well, this was good. This was a really good, some good topics here, good content.
Today on the show, I want to read for you the post, and then I want to pull some crazy comments we received up and have Matt respond to them.
Oh, great.
Because
I remember you told me there's some pretty wild responses.
Well, going viral was a whole new thing for our family. Like, you put stuff out on social media and you tell your kids once it's out there, it's out there. And that's 100% true. Like, once it was out there was no taking it back. But I think what I was not prepared for was all the fighting in the comments. There were people who loved it. There were people who were calling you names.
Okay.
There were people who were calling me names. And then there were strangers who didn't even know us defending us.
Well, maybe somewhere in there's truth.
And there was a whole lot going on. And I didn't really think about how people out of one post would assume so much about a family. That is what kind of took me off guard. Like, wow, they feel like they really know us from one post.
So do you want to read this post in case people have not seen it? And then you can tell me about what some of these responses were.
Yeah, let me read it for you.
Okay.
Exactly as it was posted. Here we go. My teenage son and I were standing around the kitchen island having a serious conversation. He had attitude, and I was trying to get through to him. My husband walked in and observed what was happening. He could tell my son was frustrated and I was frustrated. He waits there until there's a pause. Then he looks at our son and he says, "Want to go play some basketball?"
It's a true story, not just a,
True story.
yeah, legit. I remember.
Okay, so I looked at my husband in disbelief because I really felt undermined for a moment and
Yeah, I get that look quite a bit.
and frustrated. I mean, I wanted to scream.
Yeah, I get that look.
I'm trying to get through to this kid. This is serious. We need to have this conversation. That's what I was trying to say. I didn't go crazy mom mode or
No.
crazy wife mode
Right.
in front of them, but my husband went to the bedroom to change into his athletic shorts, and I followed him. And I was pretty upset. I said, "What are you doing?" I was trying to get through to him and talk about the seriousness of this. And then my husband said, "You'll be able to later. He needs to play defense and be aggressive. He's angry. I was a teen boy once. He doesn't want to talk right now." They played basketball in our driveway, and about an hour later came in sweaty and stinky and gross. They were laughing. They were joking. They were talking trash to each other.
Maybe.
Then, you guys aren't going to believe it. My son looked up at me and he said this, "Sorry about earlier, Mom." And then he just went to get in the shower. I looked at you and said, "What did you say to him?" And then you said, "Nothing. We didn't talk. We just competed." Later that night at dinner, we were able to go back to the issue at hand and have an actual calm, logical conversation that everyone was fully engaged in, and there was no attitude. I was able to get all of my points across to my son. He heard them and even added some additional information. And you guys, that night, I really did go to bed thanking God for Matt. I was so mad at him in the moment for kind of taking charge of the situation, but I walked away with a new appreciation. He was just trying to help, and he understood my teen son in that moment in a way that I didn't. And so that was the post, and it just kind of blew up. And all sorts of comments.
I don't know why that's controversial.
You know what's so funny about it is this happened several years ago. Our son is 18 now. This happened several years ago. I had posted about it when it just happened. Didn't go viral. And then we were looking for a Father's Day post, and I said, "Hey, this is a great story of fathers and how unique they are. They bring a unique voice to the family." And we put it on a reel, and it goes viral. You never know what's going to happen. But you remember this.
I do remember this. Yep. And again, he beat me in that game. I remember that.
There was somebody in the comments that asked who won.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yes. Well, for the most part, most people were super supportive. You know, we love dads. We love moms. This is a good marriage, working together, a parenting team. But there were some comments that I was like,
Oh, let me hear him.
Okay. All right. Let me pull them up for you. Okay. Here's one. "Women are absolutely insane and have no emotional control."
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know what could have spurred that. Obviously, that's ridiculous.
No, I want to know your response to this.
Well, I mean,
if
clearly that's ridiculous.
somebody said that to my face, how would you respond to them? If a man came up at an event and I was speaking, and afterwards he said this to me.
Well, I can't really say what I would do because it wouldn't be pleasant. But I think obviously that's someone being a little silly. It's just we're different. We just were different.
We've talked about this before. Like, we both have ways we respond with emotion in different ways that we have to keep in check.
Yeah, and at different times in our lives, given other things that are happening. But you mentioned the key point here is to kind of keep in check. That's one of the things you and I have really worked on a lot over the years, is to help keep each other in check. And it's kind of a flow. But yeah, in this case, we really utilized the where we are naturally have advantages in being able to communicate. So with our daughter, it would have looked very different, that exact circumstance. I think in the moment, whenever we went to play basketball and I kind of extracted him from that situation, I think after it was all said and done, I think you were cheering me for
Yes.
doing that. And in similar circumstances with our daughter, again, there's just, you're able to communicate, and engage with her in ways that I can't. And I think that I have cheered you in the past whenever you've done that. And it's we have to really be able to work together with it.
It really is a team effort.
It is.
Yeah. That comment, though, did remind me of a Bible verse.
Okay.
Proverbs 27:15-16. You know the verse that I'm going to say, because we've talked about it a little bit through the years. A nagging spouse is like the drip, drip, drip of a leaky faucet. You can't turn it off and you can't get away from it. Like a nagging spouse. I do think there is something in that comment that could be truth, as far as if I'm constantly nagging you or you're constantly nagging me about something. The Bible speaks to that. That is not communication. That is not healthy communication.
No, and it's not sustainable. No one is willing to live a life of that kind of nagging again, and it's just not communication.
It actually drives people away.
It does.
Yeah. Which leads me to my next comment.
Okay. This isn't like no big deal. I thought you were going to shock me with something.
Here's a comment. That's why I turn around and go golfing.
Okay. I spoke too soon.
That's why I turn around and go golfing. That was the comment.
Yeah, I think this is very common with dads these days. There's so many demands, and they walk into a room and mom and child are in the middle of something that they really just don't want to wade into. They know it's going to consume emotional energy, and they might have just gotten home from a difficult day or whatever the case, and they just don't want to step into that. It can individually feel, and I get that, that comment. I'm not like, I could imagine that in my mind, but it's not the right approach. It's not the right approach to be able to build our children. It's not the right approach for the partnership of our spouse to think, I'm just going to pull the emergency button here and I'm just going to evacuate because it's too hard. It's times like this when you should lean in the most. And we've learned that. And so I get it. My initial response would likely be, I want to, you could replace golf with anything. I want to go do this or do that. I don't want to go into this difficult situation. I just don't, I believe that that's when we should run right into it.
I want you to speak into this a little bit more, because I think it's important to any dads watching, because one of the things you have told me, I mean, our kids are 18 and 22 now. We're getting ready to be empty nesters. It's back to just us in a couple months in the home. And through the years, you've told me how you would always say, I'm such a tired dad.
Oh, so
I remember
so many
you
years.
saying that all the time. And you would go to church or, to events, and you would say, I see it in the other dad's eyes.
It's so clear.
They're exhausted. We're exhausted. Because, unlike any other time in history, you're normally working a career, building a career, and you're more engaged with the kids at a level I believe dads are. And I think it's a great thing that dads are more involved today than before. They're shouldering the responsibilities more. This is generally. But that wears on you guys. And then you add all the digital parenting stuff on top of it. What we walked through with the experiment of trying to keep them safe online when nobody was talking about this.
Yeah.
So speak into that a little bit about all these years. You were so tired every day, exhausted, but you poured in, you did the hard work, showing up when there was conflict or conversations you needed to step into.
Or tears. That's when I like to run the other way, is when there's tears involved.
Yeah, you don't like drama.
I want to get
out.
out.
Like the emotional drama. Yeah. Talk about that as far as now. getting ready to be an empty nester.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of young dads listening, they feel like it's never going to end. They feel like this is my life forever. I'm going to be at soccer every night and, waking up at 5 a.m. and dealing with all of this conflict forever. And that's not true.
It's not true. It does end, and it doesn't come to an end immediately. It starts trailing off. But I will say this, no matter the amount of time it takes, for some dads with multiple kids, it may be even longer, but I will say this very, very clearly. There's nothing more important that you can do with your time and energy. There is a time when it goes away, and I'm starting to miss it a little bit. I'm starting to miss the opportunity to be able to invest into the lives of the people who matter to me the most, and to be able to build in them a legacy that doesn't expire as the moments in time do. And so, for the young dads, and I've seen it a lot. I continue to see it a lot in the faces of dads. I don't want to say don't just hang in there, but double down in it, because there's nothing more important that you can do with your time and energy.
Well said. Well said. Okay, so I really like this question, and this really wasn't a negative comment. This was like a sincere question. It says, assuming the husband ends up doing what's right, I'm wondering if it felt like a slap in the face to the mom. Is this likely to be a good cop, bad cop dynamic? This was actually a really good question because I did feel blindsided a little bit in the moment. But I want to add a disclaimer here. It was very unlike Matt to do something like that. So very rarely would I be in a conversation with our child. I mean, I wrote about it, so it's a unique situation. It stood out in my mind as a unique situation. He doesn't undermine me as a parent. When I'm having a conversation with the kids, if there's something that I'm saying that maybe he doesn't agree with or whatever, he would never correct me in front of the kids. It's kind of like we would pull each other aside.
It's a respect thing. It's a rule of respect.
Yeah, we would talk about it later. But in this situation, and he didn't interrupt me. He waited until there was a silence and we all were kind of looking at each other, and I was fuming at my son, and my son was giving me attitude. And that's when he said it. He didn't cut me off. But I do think this is a legitimate question because I do want to say this. If Matt were the kind of husband who was always undermining me, cutting me off, trying to be, the superhero parent and letting me do that, that would be a problem.
Yeah, I actually think that there are some dads that believe that being a leader in the home means that their voice is always the loudest, the first, and the last. And I don't believe that.
I want you to, we've talked a lot about this. We work with a lot of families.
Yeah.
We see a lot of dads trying to take a leadership role, but it becomes like a dictator. Like they're barking out orders. They're telling people what to do. And Matt is the farthest from that. He leads our family, but he's a very humble leader. Like he serves us. That's how I see you. You serve us. And so when he did this, once I cooled down, I thought this is a way that he's trying to help me to get through to him in a way that I didn't understand my teenage son at the moment. I
would actually say it wasn't about you.
Yeah.
What I saw, it was really about our son.
That's so good.
But no disrespect.
But a lot of people in the comments made it about patriarchy and a man trying to control because that's where society goes with it.
Well,
that's so good. It really wasn't about me. It was about you and me trying to figure out the best way to get through and communicate to our teenage son.
Yeah, that's as simple as what it was. I saw my son's posturing and I could hear his tone, and I could hear your tone. And as much as I would have liked to have just walked by and gone golfing, I get that. It was an opportunity for me to, again, take kind of the unique approach that I have as a dad and as a man to kind of steer a different direction. And I knew what you wanted to do. I knew the point you were getting across. I was tuned in enough to know your goal. Uh, and I also saw that he wasn't tracking. So again, it wasn't about you. It was about an opportunity to help you achieve ultimately what I know you wanted to do.
Well, and later that night, we had a great conversation at dinner, and I was able to get my points across. He added, my son contributed to the conversation. It was very calm, and everybody was locked in on it. But later I had asked him, hey, when he came in to the house after you guys immediately got done playing basketball and he apologized to me, did you make him apologize to me?
Now, we didn't even talk about it. This is the thing. We don't need to talk.
Guys, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, especially in that moment, we don't need to communicate
When
like
you're
that.
angry.
We don't need that. We need to step away. We need to just leave that there for a minute. Go focus on something else, and then maybe we can come back to it with a different perspective that would then allow us to talk about it.
Yeah, I love this because you not even telling him to apologize to me speaks volumes to me as a mom raising a teenage boy. He needed to just get some physical aggression out, and he could see the situation clearer without even you talking to him about it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a moment for all of us moms to think about who are raising boys, because they are different than us. Guys and girls are different. What?
Shocker.
I know. And and the more we can learn that, like I learned so much from Matt about what it means to be a man and a leader. And likewise to me, the more we listen to each other, the better we become at this partnership of raising these kids.
Yeah.
And this team effort. You made some really good points, but you said he just didn't need to talk right then. He needed to go out, compete, clear his mind, that kind of stuff. But I do think we need to be very clear that when there's a moment of tension in the home and we do step away because we want the emotions to go down, how important is it to come back and then have the calm conversation? Because if not, we just keep sweeping things under the rug, and we almost use that emotional situation as a reason not to have the hard conversation.
Yeah.
So can we speak into that? Because years of that could really hurt a family.
Situations like that, compared to writing a sentence, a situation like that is a comma, not a period. So the tension was thick in this sentence you and our son were drafting. And I really felt it was best to step in and let's drop a kind of a comma here, or pause a bit. And then, just again, a brief, just a moment, come back, finish it, period. It's over. It drawing things to conclusion are really some of the most important things that you can do when you're trying to teach or respectfully communicate, really with anyone. I think in any circumstance, but especially with your kids, just leaving things open without drawing points to conclusion can lead to a lot of concerns, a lot of challenges, and it's really unfair to them.
Yeah. And I just wanted to speak into that because I think sometimes there's an emotional situation in the home and everybody goes off to clear their mind, and we use that as an excuse to never talk about that again.
Yeah.
And that's a really bad cycle.
Well, look, let's be clear. In this circumstance, I would again agree with you. Say this was a pretty unique circumstance because most of the time we have conversations that include tension that don't need a pause and that can be concluded and should be concluded in that moment. Maybe that's the norm, but there are some circumstances where the mom and the dad understand their roles really well, and they play the role really well, and they know when it's time to call an audible, and let's change the play a bit.
Well, looking back on it, I was really ticked off in the moment of it, but I was already emotional because I was upset with my teenage son too and trying to get through to him. And so I was already elevated. But looking back now, I think, wow, you handled it so well. Like you really did not belittle me whatsoever. You did not interrupt me. You did not correct me in front of him. Nothing. You just waited till this awkward silence and you were like, let's go play some basketball.
But understand, had you and I not been on this journey for a number of years leading up to this conversation and been doing hard work and spending countless nights just kind of gut-wrenching, open, honest conversations about things that we didn't want to talk about leading up to this point when he was 16, I don't know that I would have even felt comfortable enough stepping in. So you actually created, through all the work that we had done parenting with me, you actually created an environment where you allowed it, and I knew you would allow it. But again, it had been the time that we had spent in advance of that moment.
So let's talk about that for a minute because we're getting off these comments, but this is a really good conversation here.
Can I hit a comma? Can I go play some basketball? Oh, sorry.
No,
Oh,
you
all right.
cannot.
All right. I know you won't be able to beat me.
No, I can't beat you, and I can't beat our son anymore either. That ship sailed a long time ago. But what you're saying here is really important. We had been on this journey, and it was, you guys know the story. I mean, it's just our kids were getting exposed to all this stuff. The iPhone was created. Nobody was telling parents how to parent it. And it was an experiment in our home. And God led us to scripture, Deuteronomy 6, and 7. That is the solution. No matter what happens, that Deuteronomy 6, and 7 says we have to talk to our children. We have to create a culture of open communication in our home. I'm summarizing. And so we had so many conversations every night. I mean, I would say, Matt, on the way home from school, this is what they're asking me now. This is what they got exposed to. And this is before they had phones or anything.
Yeah.
And he would say, I can't believe we have to answer these questions. And I can't believe this. And we were on this journey to just really talk about anything. But through that, we realized that a lot of times we were the problem. We were shutting down conversation with our kids when we didn't realize it. And I remember one night going to Matt and saying, listen, like if I do something crazy in front of the kids that you see shuts down conversation, please, don't correct me in front of the kids, but I want you to be honest with me. Tell me at the end of the night, because I got to correct it. Like I got to foster a good dialogue here with our kids. I don't want to push them away.
That's the permission I was talking about.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that. We weren't even going to talk about this on the show, but you're right. You are so right in the sense of the foundation had been laid for each of us to kind of come in and help each other out, because the goal was talking to our kids about anything. And whatever that took behind the closed doors, that sometimes hurt. Sometimes we had to have really hard conversations.
Yeah.
I remember going to you one time and saying, listen, I know you're just a black and white type of guy, and you're just giving black and white type of answers, but you're shutting down communication with our kids.
And, I gave you permission and space to be able to bring that to me.
Yeah.
Long in advance, well in advance, I should say, of these types of kind of moments. And that's what we want everyone to be able to do. We want everybody to be able to practice and be prepared, because we're in a new world. We have to be prepared for this with our kids.
Well, that's what we refer to as a look in the mirror. This is it.
Right.
How can we be better humans so that we can be better parents and have better conversations with our kids? I mean, and that's just the key of holding each other accountable. We really do have an iron sharpens iron. That's a Bible verse, a Proverbs verse. And in the Bible, it's really talking about friends, like friends sharpening each other. Matt and I use that in our marriage a lot. We're iron sharpens iron. And sometimes when we have to have a difficult conversation with each other, we will reference that. We will say, listen, like we will start it out saying, hey, you're a great dad or whatever. This is my iron sharpens iron. Like, I'm just telling you this so that you can have a better relationship with our kids.
Yeah.
When you do this, I see them shutting down or I see it not working.
And it's interesting because you've done this with me a lot because can be very oblivious at times to some circumstances. And so you've done this for me and it's really helped me. And I actually appreciate it. You know, I think some dads, again, I think we have to take some of this bravado and just throw it away. And I think that we need to really focus on being more humble. You can and should be a humble leader, and you lead with respect and honor and care. And I think that, again, when you set that tone with your wife, with your kids, it just creates such an opportunity to talk through and honestly, even if it's not talking, just live in a great place.
One thing that I really do love about our family is, it's messy. I mean, relationships are messy. We're not perfect. We disagree. But I really do feel like when there's an issue that comes up, we communicate about it.
Yeah.
We talk about it. And that is a result of all the work we've done over the years. But it really has to be a daily decision to not sweep things under the rug, not just check out and go golfing.
That's right.
Like, it is the daily battle to build this relationship with your kids in your home. Okay, this is an interesting one too. Wife was yapping. Husband said, son, you don't have to listen to the yap right now. Let's go ball.
Well, I did say let's go ball, but I didn't say anything about yapping. Again, it's not. I don't think that's respectful. I don't think that. I look. I get it. I think there's a lot. I think that's tongue in cheek. Maybe it's coming from a guy who has a situation where he's got that drippy faucet thing going on, and he just doesn't. This is everything is a yap. Everything. So again, yap is like negative. And there was nothing negative about this. What you were saying to him, there wasn't negative. I wasn't, I wasn't swooping in and protecting him from anything that you were saying. It was really just, it was quite the opposite, actually. It was more of an opportunity to come in and really support the direction you were already going with it. But I think this idea of yapping, come on, you're not going to have a marriage with respect if you think that if one person or the other is viewed as a yapper.
That's a hard thing. And I think that's why nagging is so important on either side. Gosh, make sure you're not a nagger. I think we've overcome a lot of that.
I will say this, speaking for all the dads out there, speak to the moms. If you're a yapper, he can anticipate it and he will shut you out, shut you down quicker, and he'll get so proficient at it that you actually won't know he's shutting you down. There are times you'll know, just the yapping that doesn't it doesn't even make sense. It's children do this.
Yeah, and when we say, talk to your kids, talk in your home, we're not saying yap, we're not saying lecture, we're not saying nag. We're saying healthy dialogue. Like exactly what we said in this post, this was communication. This is how we learned to communicate because it wasn't working. We had to change up the situation and then we could have the healthy dialogue. And so, we just have to be careful of categorizing these things. It was interesting to me because I think that this post, I don't know why it went viral. It showed the importance of dads, which is so important. And I was so glad that this was the one that went viral, quite honestly. But I also think a lot of the negative comments came in because of this rush of patriarchy, of this dictator style leadership that we see in a lot of, I'm just going to be honest, Christian homes, because they just don't know how to lead well. It's more of a do as I say and just barking out orders and I have the final say here kind of mentality. And you've just never used any of those phrases ever. Like, I feel like you put my needs above yours. I feel like you put our kids' needs above yours. Like, when there's a big decision, I could never see you going against me. Like, you want to make sure everybody is good and feeling well about the direction we're moving as a family.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so for me, the comments erupted and I just thought, wow, how people view dads leading the home is very different than I feel like I have experienced. And I feel like you've done it so well. In fact, let me read you this comment.
Okay.
She said, "This is a woman allowing a man to lead. Unfortunately, a lot of women wouldn't have let him do this to see the result."
Oh, that's a really good point.
I think that's a really good comment
Yeah.
because you felt you have created such a safe environment for me to respect you and trust you. I've seen your integrity behind the scenes. I see how you don't act like a dictator or a boss just barking out orders.
Well, let's be clear. There is a hierarchy in our home,
Yeah.
and I'm on the bottom.
No.
No. I put myself there. That's where I want to be, because I want to be taking the bullets. I want to be taking the shots. I want to be standing in front. I mean, that's why I'm here, and that's what I love.
Okay, so don't get an ego here. I'm not saying you're like Jesus, okay?
Oh, we know that.
But what I'm saying is it reminded me of Jesus washing the servants' feet. He took the position of least of these.
Exactly.
A true leader takes the position of least of these.
Yeah, I think so. And when you take that position of least, it's easier to be humble. It really is. There's nothing that you're trying to compete against, because you're already prepositioning yourself as the last to eat, the one to be the coldest, especially during menopause when we can't keep the house warm.
The
right?
AC is down really low.
The AC is down low. I mean, but again, I think when we first got married, it was what I need. What can you do for me? And I think I learned very quickly that there is nothing in the Bible about that. And the irony of it all is the more I really choose to go last, the more you try to pull me up.
Well, the more in this situation, I can let you lead because I know your character.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I see you behind the scenes serving your family so well. And so when you do step up and be like, okay, we got to do this another way, like I will follow you because you've proven yourself to me. Okay, so yeah, here's another comment that was kind of in those lines. Just a friendly reminder that the key to all of this was that the woman allowed the father to do what needed to be done, didn't disrespect or question him, trusted he knew what was best for another boy or man, and then proceeded to be grateful. All of which modern day young women simply do not do. And I think that's a really good comment until the end. I think women, sometimes it is a feminism thing. Like we just don't want to let men lead. And that's horrible in our society, right? But also, I do think there is a negative patriarchy type of men who think that they are the boss of the home. In a negative way. And you know what I mean when I say that. I mean, I will look to you. You are the leader of our family. I submit to your leadership. I trust you. And it's easy for me to do because I see you submitting to God. I see you loving me the church.
I read the rest of the verses that you're referring to in the Bible, and I love you the way Jesus loves the church.
Yeah.
And he gave his life for the church. So there's that partnership.
So, what would you say to anyone out there? I want to speak into what if a family has watched this video and maybe a dad is thinking, dang, I don't think I'm leading right. Like, I need to kind of shift how I'm leading in my home. And maybe this is why my wife is not showing me respect, or my wife is, why we're having conflict. What would you speak into that situation if you could speak to that young dad? And like, what kind of advice would you give him?
Well, actually, I wouldn't give it just to him. The advice I would give would be to him and his wife, because fundamentally, he alone cannot do it. There has to be mutual respect, and there has to be a common ground understanding of the goal, what we're trying to do here. And if he has a wife that just isn't interested in maintaining that respect, common ground, and the ultimate goal, then again, that's where I think that they need to kind of hit the reset button and understand that there's a reason God made man and woman, brought them together to procreate, have children, and then raise those children together. There is a role for a man and a woman. And any of them that attempt, any able-bodied individuals that exist as husband and wife that have children and attempt to do it on their own are going to find great challenge. And so to that man, I would say, sit down and talk to your wife. Tell her this is the concern you have. And honestly, it might be tough, but I want to know if you'd be willing to support me and agree that we're going to work together, one another, with a focus on respecting one another, our differences and our similarities, and create a common ground interest in how we're going to communicate. And nothing's off limits.
How important is it for the man to say to the wife, if he has not led well? And I mean not led well by not being a servant leader.
We've all not led well.
And how important do you think that is for the man to speak that to the wife and maybe even apologize and say, we need to do this differently. What we're doing is not working.
Yeah. I mean, we've all done this. So it's not like I woke up yesterday and I was like, hey, let's just do this totally different. I mean, I think we've all led poorly. And I think honestly, the first thing to do is recognize that maybe I've led poorly. And ask the wife, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Again, the best way to be humble is to get humbled. If you can accept your wife coming back to you, no matter how many years you've been married, and sincerely telling you how you're not leading well, and if you can hear that from her, and you can legitimately like hear her and understand her and not lose your mind and literally get it, I actually think that's the first step to being a better leader.
It's a look in the mirror moment.
It is a look in the mirror.
You said something right there that I thought was really, really important. You said, if you can listen to her and really hear her. And that is something that I feel like over the years you've gotten so much better at. And maybe it's because you said when we were first married, you basically your mentality was, what can she do for me? And it kind of flipped to, what can I do for her? How can I serve her?
Right.
And I think it's because all of the years of you becoming a better listener to me, really hearing what I need. And that has challenged me too, to be less of a yapper or a nagger, because I want to choose my words carefully, because I know you will listen to them and you will want to change something or fix it or help. And so I am very careful then, like processing, to make sure that I'm not just always throwing out stuff that I need you to do or stuff that I need you to fix. Like, I really am careful, because I'm like, he's really going to hear this.
Right.
And I think that's just the mutual respect that has grown through over the years.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point with listening. I would say that is one of the most significant changes in me over the years. is that I have really focused on listening. And the irony is it's not just with you and me, but it's also with our children.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in my job. I mean, again, if I can't hear you, how can we be on the same page? How can I respect you?
But I think that's the problem in so many young marriages is they're busy, dads are tired, and then when they walk through the door, it's the situation at the kitchen island like we were having, and they're just, I'm going to play golf. I'm
Right.
checked out. And I think I just want to reiterate, like, that is Satan. And God is for your family. He wants you to be in a healthy communication where you're happy and it's an abundant marriage and it's abundant family life. And Satan will do whatever he can to try and dismantle that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be on guard. You have to be teamwork, holding each other accountable, saying hard things to each other. Is there anything else you would add, honey?
Well, I think, to wrap this up, there may be some guys out there that are thinking, I don't want any part of this. Too much time, too much energy, too feelings oriented. I get it. It's actually not that much energy. It's not that much time. I don't like a lot of fluff. I want to get to the point.
Yeah.
And we're now able to get to the point because you understand, because of how we've worked up to this. You don't see my directness as disrespectful. You see it as my intent and my focus. Okay, I hear you. Let's go. Let's figure this out. Let's work on this. And so I think I would end this by simply saying, I really encourage the dads, again, to not just lean in, but to sprint into this for yourself, for your families, for your wife, one wife.
One wife.
Yeah. But I really do encourage dads to, on the other side, it's a great place. It's great to be on the other side. And honestly, we may have had, you and I, a couple kind of knockdown dragouts until we kind of really found this rhythm that we're in right now. And it's a great place to be.
We talk all the time about how, we really worked on our communication as a couple and a family, really to keep our kids safe from the digital world. I mean, and all they were being exposed to.
But it's made our marriage so much better.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And he finished my sentence. And, now that I'm getting ready to tear up. Now that we're in a couple months, it's going to be just us again. Like we're we're kind of excited and dreaming and planning trips by ourselves and like all the things.
Yeah.
And I look back and think, man, if our kids weren't getting exposed to porn, would we even be here? Would we have put in all this work?
Yeah, I don't know that I think about that too much, but
it's a curse to blessing moment.
It is.
And God says, I will take this curse and turn it into a blessing because I love you. So no matter what you're struggling with in your home, no matter where your marriage is, I want you to hang on to that verse. God can take a curse and turn it into a blessing. And we are seeing the fruit of that in our marriage right now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if we have another post go viral. I don't know.
I hope I'm not part of it. I hate social media.
Thanks for being on the show, hon. Love you.
nextTalk is a 501c3 nonprofit keeping kids safe online. To support our work, make a donation at nexttalk.org. nextTalk resources are not intended to replace the advice of a trained healthcare or legal professional, or to diagnose, treat, or otherwise render expert advice regarding any type of medical, psychological, legal, financial, or other problem. You are advised to consult a qualified expert for your personal treatment plan.
Our nextTalk podcast is in the top 2% of over 3.4 million podcasts ranked by Listen Notes. But now we're also adding YouTube. So this is a whole new thing we're doing. If you could like, subscribe, and comment on these videos, it would help us so much. We appreciate y'all.